It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
Hello and welcome. He is Gary McNamara. I'm Eric Harley. Two guys that are just now realizing the Oscars were on last night. Gary, happy Monday. How are you?
Well, I knew they were on when I woke up.
Oh,
and the reason I did is because there's the people that I know that are conservative.
Yeah.
Well, I turned on the Oscars, and then I had to turn it. What are you talking about?
Why did you turn it on? What did you expect?
Like it's something new. I'm going to turn on the Oscars because they're going to talk about the movies and how conservative principles or how America should run.
Yeah.
I swear. That's why I love the show. Because I've been watching reruns. I never watched it during its regular run. When I say I love watching Becker.
Yeah.
With Ted Danson.
Right.
Because he's always doing things that gets him angry.
Yeah.
He comes in, railing, I watch the TV talk shows, and they all complain that America's. It's like, then don't watch it.
Right.
But I mean, it's like.
I had seen during the day I guess I saw it on Friday. Or maybe, Saturday afternoon, about the time I learned that daylight saving started this weekend.
No, man.
What? This weekend? Man. It's because it always comes, well, first of all, way too early and way too often. Let's stop this madness, can we? Just daylight saving time, be done. Okay? No more changes. I'm too old. By the way,
I'm not tired.
Yeah.
I'm jet lagged.
Yeah. I think there was another article over the weekend. We did this years ago, but there was one during the fall change that came out some time ago, several years ago. It goes back, but talked about the health effect of the clock change. And just, and you think, well, it's just 1 hour. No, you're changing everybody's schedule. Tell all of, most of America. I don't know who still changes. There are a couple areas that don't change. But tell all the people, the hundreds of millions of people, to get up an hour earlier. When it's sleep an hour later, we can all do that. Get up an hour earlier. Okay, if we must. And but anyway, I was, I looked at some of the coverage, or just stories coming through my newsfeed on the Oscars, and I thought, I don't know who that appeals to anymore. And I know, part of it's I'm an old guy, and it's not about me. But I really don't. There used to be a draw for the Oscars that was a lot more mainstream, and now, I don't know. I'm sure the ratings will be whatever. But I just don't, for me, I don't care which movies win. I thought Grown Ups with Adam Sandler was a funny movie. That was never going to win an Oscar. I don't care. I just don't know the rooting thing. Oh, I hope it wins. Well, no. The only thing I have when I put my money down for a movie, I hope it's good. That's it. I hope I enjoy it. I don't really care. I don't really care at all. It's to watch an industry give themselves an award. And I'm not part of that industry. It just doesn't make any sense. I understand the insider thing, and then whoever wins, they're going to be making a little more money, maybe. What happened to Cuba Gooding Jr.? I mean, there's so many winners along the way that it really didn't apply to long term. And
by the way, I believe that was the last Academy Award I watched.
Yeah.
And that was the mid-'90s.
Yeah, that would have been Jerry Maguire, right?
That would have been, Jerry Maguire. And is that when he... Oh, that's right. He won for that.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want...
Because they snubbed him for radio.
Okay, because he didn't win. Remember the one where he was the
The real life movie.
The sailor.
Yeah.
And that was actually a good movie.
Right.
Where he was but it was Jerry Maguire he won for.
Yeah.
And I remember that because that's when I went, oh, that was a bad call because Ed Norton should have won for the one where he was the psycho killer.
Oh yeah.
Remember that?
That's right.
With Richard Gere.
Yeah.
He was up against Ed Norton.
Right.
And Ed Norton, I can't think of the name of that movie.
I'll think of it.
But at the end of that movie,
well, the twist is
the twist in that movie,
and then a punch in the face.
The twist in that movie and the hatred you have for the character Ed Norton is playing at that moment,
man,
and realize you were completely and totally conned. I just can't think of the name of the movie.
But it was only because of Ed Norton pulling it off.
Oh yeah,
that
absolutely
twist.
Yes.
There are very few people that because he just had that innocent look in his eyes. And the twist at the end was just like
Primal Fear.
Yeah.
Yeah, he should have won for that.
Great movie.
He was also fantastic in American History X.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But and I hate to sound like an old man, but here it goes. They used to make movies. There's this thing where, I love to watch old black and white movies. From people who lived during those times when those were hit movies, I get it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You go back and you watch movies from, back in your age. But for those that are not from that time, I love to go back and watch not that there aren't any good black and white movies, but just the fact that they're black and white movies doesn't make them a good movie, in my opinion. But I look back and I think to myself, and we've had this conversation. Hollywood is all about. I saw that there were a few people I've seen over the last couple of weeks. Zack Snyder, the director. I'm not a big comic book movie fan, but I have kids. And those movies made a gazillion dollars each. People are drawn to them. Again, not my thing. But things that they said, now, Snyder didn't say this. He was on Rogan. He didn't say this verbatim, but I was reading between the lines of what he was saying. There's so much in Hollywood that you bring to the table, even at his level. You bring to the table, we don't want to do that. Yeah, we haven't understood that. Because they are looking for, and we've talked about this, they're looking for, why this movie? What purpose does it? In other words, they need it to be to some degree activism. And if you forget your audience, then you're gone. If you forget who you're serving, you're gone.
Well, that with Oppenheimer, the National Review had they've actually gone through, and there was even an article they wrote yesterday about the fact of, without him, you wouldn't have had the atomic bomb, but later on they paint him as a victim of McCarthy, and they said, now, and they went through the whole point saying, because he donated to the Communist Party,
right,
and now they're saying, and now the opposition to what the director and the screenwriter did for Oppenheimer, saying there's a whole different opinion on the fact that, no, he's not a victim.
Right.
And so you get into it, and it's like, no, this is just, again, trying to say, okay, here's a guy that helped protect the country, and then the right wing tried to take him out. And they even mention, apparently, I didn't know this because I haven't seen the movie, is that they even tie in the fact, the director and I think one of the screenwriters, the fact that, and Trump had one of the McCarthy lawyers as one of his lawyers in the 70s.
They had to bring Trump into it somehow.
It's just like
we
and
watched,
so and I haven't gone through it again. When it comes to Hollywood, it's just like sports. I'm rarely there at all. There's very few movies that come out today that catch my interest at all. I just and I used to be, fascinated by. There was a time in my life, and it was probably the late '80s, early '90s,
mm-hmm.
and it was funny because it was my mom at times in my life thought that I was really much more of a, I think, radical than I ever was. And when she found out, it always just blew her away. I've talked about the fact that, when I became a talk radio host in '89, I never forget going over to my mom and dad's house, and they're drinking coffee. They said, "We have to ask you a question." "Yeah, you really believe all that stuff you say on the radio?" I'm like, "Oh, God, here we go." And I said, "Yeah." They go, "Our son." They had no idea.
Yeah.
None. And the same thing, I started giving my mom movies. And my mom went, "Oh, my gosh, these are the kind of movies you like? I love these movies." One of them was A River Runs Through It. If you know that one with Brad Pitt. What was the other one? The one with Leonardo DiCaprio and Johnny Depp with the fat mom.
Oh, What's Eating Gilbert Grape?
What's Eating Gilbert Grape?
Yeah,
Those
great
are
movie.
Those are the first two that I started with. My mother said, "I'm just amazed at movies that you're." And so there was a time in that there were a ton of great movies that had come out in the late '80s and into the '90s that I thought were wonderful. Well, and it's like just the last 10, 15 years, I don't care.
Well, my wife and I sat down to watch Oppenheimer. This goes back, I don't know, a couple months. And at the time, it wasn't available for rent, just purchase. So we paid the $19 thinking, all right, we almost never go to a movie at a theater.
Oh, yeah, it's worth it, yeah.
So $20 because everybody's raving about it. Probably our adult children at some point will be at the house, and if they want to bring up on a movie night, they want to bring up that movie, then great, fine. We watched 20 minutes, and that was it. It's all, I mean, it was just weird. I was interested in the historic part, and it strayed from that and tried to stray from that. I mean, it made every attempt to stray from that at every turn. It really, they were going out of their way to bring in the woke thing, the other message thing. Not that the first 20, again, only the first 20 minutes that I saw, but not that it wasn't being accurate. They were just focused on these other things. And I thought, I don't have any interest in that. Those things don't build a story, don't build a character, don't tell me anything about this person in terms of their work that you're trying to or that you're supposed to be focusing on, that you bill this as. And I thought, okay, that's fine. Same thing with that Elvis movie. We got not even halfway through it.
I did.
And it was some weird musical thing that was, and as a fan of Elvis, I was like, no.
I couldn't get through 20 minutes of that.
It was weird.
I was.
It was just weird.
You know what it was like? It was almost like a psychedelic drug movie from the late 60s, trying to portray what Elvis was.
Right.
That's what it reminded me of. That made no sense, where my mind couldn't keep up to date. I just couldn't. I couldn't keep where they were connecting the dots to anything that I cared about.
Well, and there were so many things in there that they missed the mark on. And when I say they got it wrong, I don't mean that it was inaccurate in terms of the facts. It's just that the way they portrayed it was something else. And the Elvis story is fascinating all day. I mean, it's just a fascinating American story. And they decided to make it something completely different. And I know everybody says, well, it wasn't about Elvis. It was about the Colonel and that was even more weird. And if you knew anything,
did they say it like that?
Yeah.
It wasn't about Elvis.
Yeah, they said it exactly like that. Okay. Yeah, it was, and it was my mom. That was, she talks exact. I don't know why. But it's, and that's the thing. The founder of our old show, Bill Mack, he was an acquaintance of Elvis because he was a promoter. He was a radio personality. He was a host of live events like that, and he had worked with Elvis. In fact, there's a story that Elvis went to the hospital with him one time in Texas after his daughter was born because Elvis was bored after the show he just did, and all of these storylines that of Elvis, it would probably take, a Law and Order type run of a series to really lay it all out. But if you're going to do a movie, it just that weird musical thing that they did, psychedelic weird thing that they did was just, it was a miss. And I really, I told my kids and my oldest grandkids, who are teens now, if you really want to watch something about Elvis, you can watch documentaries. There's, the TV movie that Kurt Russell did where he played Elvis. Mm-hmm. I think it was Elvis and Priscilla, whatever it was, on ABC back in the day. I liked that movie. I don't know, if it's one of the greatest storytellers of Elvis altogether. But there are other, ways to go see the Elvis story. The whole Oppenheimer thing is, find a documentary or read. Because it was just, in my opinion, that first 20 minutes was just weird. I'll never go back to watching that movie. I have zero interest in watching that movie.
866-90-RED-EYE.
This report is brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology, is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance. It's not always easy to spring back from the harsh days of winter to warmer months ahead. From de-icing chemicals to hidden debris underneath snow and ice, winter conditions can do serious damage to your truck. Here's a must-do maintenance check to help you minimize downtime and stay rolling. Have your wheel alignment checked to set you up for a safer and smoother ride. Driving with incorrect wheel alignment can result in reduced performance, tread wear, and steering issues. While you're at it, make sure your tires are properly inflated based on the load you're hauling. Underinflated tires can impact your fuel economy and result in blowouts.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Coming up here on the show, it didn't take the president long to short circuit after the State of the Union address. I mean, by the time he got to Friday night, I mean, there was enough. You're like, wow, that really ended. I said by Sunday night, Monday morning, nobody will really be talking about the State of the Union. It was done by Saturday morning.
Yeah,
it really was. And there were so many gaffes that he had on Friday, which does bring you this question because and I should have said it this way on Friday, and I never did. But as we know, what the president did there when he just has to speak is completely different than when he does an interview. Now, all the Democrats were saying it shows he's absolutely fine. Well, that means then that he should do intense interviews with conservatives.
Yeah.
And he needs to debate.
Right.
And he needs to be open because there is a difference, and so one has to ask the difference. If Biden is okay and you say he's okay, why won't he do the things, hold the press conferences, answer questions from reporters, sit down with serious interviews like other presidents?
Right.
Why won't he do it?
Right. If everything's fine, it's not only fine, he's more energetic than ever.
Right.
He should be doing more interviews than you normally see.
Exactly.
It's fine, right, Joe?
Right.
Or can you handle the truth, Joe?
Yeah. So it's either one way or another. So if you're saying, oh, this proves he's fine, well, then tell us why he won't do interviews.
I'm sorry, I meant Joe Scarborough. When you say Joe, it can mean either Joe, right? Joe Scarborough when he was, F you if you can't handle the truth.
Yeah.
Okay. No, okay, that's fine. Great. You guys should be calling on Biden to do more interviews than normal.
Right.
music reviewers, and sometimes political commentators, Eric Harley and Gary McNamara on Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. There were two things that came out from Biden over the weekend that Republicans should immediately make into a commercial, a political commercial to play. Well, the one you can't because it's a little bit too long, but the one where and everybody was on it, that the Republicans should have their State of the Union response should have been Biden's State of the Union response from over 30 years ago, when he gave the response on the State of the Union.
Right.
And it's like, okay, so it had to be during George Herbert Walker Bush.
Right, yeah.
And it's like, we'll play that later on, but it's like, that's all they should have done was don't play any Republican, just say the Republican State of the Union address response will be Joe Biden's State of the Union address response from whatever it was 30-something years ago.
Right.
And then just play it.
Right.
Now, they're not going to do that, but Biden, 180 from what he is today. How did that happen to Democrats? How did they come? And this is where he was, tough on crime and tough on the border and drugs coming across the border. And we'll play that coming up here in a little bit. But the one they should make into a commercial, and you would take clips out of it. But it's basically, this is what Joe Biden thinks about the alleged murderer of an American. And then just play part of this MSNBC interview that he did. Here we go.
But during your response to her heckling of you, you used the word illegal when talking about the man who allegedly killed Laken Riley.
An undocumented person. And I shouldn't have used illegal. It's undocumented. And look, when I spoke about the difference between Trump and me, one of the things I talked about on the border was that the way he talks about vermin, the way he talks about these people polluting the blood. I talked about what I'm not going to do, what I won't do. I'm not going to treat any of these people with disrespect. Look, they built the country. The reason our economy is growing. We have to control the border and more orderly flow, but I don't share his view at all.
Now, there's a number of things. Number one, Democrats need to stop saying that people that are in this country are undocumented. No human is undocumented.
Right.
At least when you use the term illegal, you're not saying that they're undocumented. No human is undocumented.
Say illegal.
Say illegal. At least you are saying that these people exist and maybe doing something wrong. To say undocumented, you're wiping these people. They're not even documented anywhere. No human is undocumented. Did I say that with enough fake passion?
We found here at Axios, why it matters, found documents on this person. So here you have a president, and the liberal media doesn't care if you get the victim's name wrong, just as long as you don't call them, the wrong, you don't describe them in the wrong fashion. You better in terms of the murderer, you better get it right. You'll offend the murderer.
Well, the thing is, what you say is when you said vermin, you go, I can just see Donald Trump says the alleged murderer or the murderer, illegal immigrants who murder, they are vermin. Tell me where you're going to tell me where anybody's going to disagree with that. But Biden, we said that would be the number one issue, because Biden came out and said that. And then came out again with the thing that how many people are killed by illegals. The Republicans should have jumped all over that, and they didn't.
No, they didn't.
They did. For some reason, they won't jump on that. I have no idea why, because that's the whole point. That's the justification of Biden, that it's okay to murder Americans because Americans murder Americans. Therefore, we shouldn't be upset if we have an open border.
Right.
Where anybody can come across, and then they kill an American. And we, as we know, when it comes to the ICE detainers and the whole problems there, where it's completely irresponsible what the government is doing under Joe Biden. And he's trying to justify saying, well, an illegal immigrant killing an American is okay because, Americans kill Americans too.
Right.
Are you kidding me?
Yep. I mean,
and by the way, I do think some people noted that they said, you guys are the ones that brought that up. It's like nobody else.
Yeah, we got some response on that.
And that's such a great, that's such a great point. It's
we wish that weren't true. We wish a lot of people, including, as you mentioned, the Republicans had brought it up. We wish that were to be the case, but unfortunately it wasn't. And here's the thing that, you look at, and again, this is a perfect example. They're worried about offending a murderer.
Yep.
They're not worried about getting the victim's name wrong. That they offended the murderer. Sorry, that was offensive to the murderer. He's not going to disrespect any of them, even the murderers. Wow. If you needed any example, if you needed any more proof of how they think, that encapsulates it right there.
Yep. The murder doesn't matter. The label of illegal, which we all know what it means.
Yeah. I don't have a problem saying it.
You're here illegally in the United States, and you illegally do. Can you say that allegedly that he committed, he did something illegal by murder? Is that okay? Can we say that it's an illegal murderer? Is that okay, Democrats? Can we say that? Is that we don't know what's
the playbook?
We don't know what's allowed. And are
Where's
you
the playbook?
And are you going to do something about that undocumented allegation that the media, the leftist media, undocumented? No human being is undocumented. I really like that one. I like that one.
Unreal.
Because that's the point that they try to bring up. You're saying a human being is illegal. We're saying they're illegally in the country. That's why it's an illegal immigrant.
Yep.
There's legal immigrants, illegal immigrant.
Yep. We all know what it means.
Yeah, we all know what it means.
Yeah.
Well,
if you're offended by that, then just go on being offended. I don't care.
Or just shut up.
Yeah.
I just like that. There's something about saying "shut up" that's very rewarding. It's like "shut up."
Yeah, I'm not going to split the hairs on the language. The left can do that, and the more they do it, the better it is, because it tells you the mindset. They're worried more about offending the bad guys here than they are recognizing the victims' families here and doing something about it.
Now, here it is. Over 30 years ago, Senator Joe Biden giving the response to the State of the Union address. Are you ready?
All right.
Ready for this? And many people said, well, this is what the Republicans should have played afterwards. They wouldn't have, but it would have been humorous. We're simply, thank you, Joe Biden, for that State of the Union address. Yeah. Instead of me speaking, we're just going to play a State of the Union response from that same man a little over 30 years ago.
To put it in very personal terms for a moment, Joe Biden, me, I would settle for a world in which I could worry about the same kinds of things that my parents worried about, in which I only had to worry about the grades my children got in school rather than the drugs they're being exposed to, in which I only had to worry about the prices my wife had to pay at the supermarket instead of fearing that she might get mugged by a junkie in the parking lot as she loads her groceries into the car, in which tonight I could call my mom just to wish her pleasant dreams, not for the purpose of making sure she's safe in her own home. That's the kind of world I want. That's the kind of world you deserve. In a nutshell, the president's plan doesn't include enough police officers to catch the violent thugs, not enough prosecutors to convict them, not enough judges to sentence them, and not enough prison cells to put them away for a long time. We disagree with the president's decision to cut back on our previous commitment to protect against drugs coming across the border, to cut the Customs Service, the Coast Guard, and the Border Patrol. We think we should do more to stem the flow of drugs across our borders, and we think we should go one step further. Let's go after the drug lords where they live, with an international strike force. There must be no safe haven for these narco-terrorists, and they must know it. And we don't have to promise a world without worry or fear. We're not asking for that much. All we have to do together is to keep our promises and stay together.
So, was Joe Biden lying then, or is he lying now?
Right. Was he grappling and evolving all of these years?
Right.
Like Obama?
Was that is that Joe Biden that was, as we know back then, talking about also secure borders? Was he grappling all this time in his mind with saying, I need to find a way to call an illegal immigrant who comes across the border and murders an American, that I need a softer label for that person? Was Joe grappling with that over the last 35 years? The number of people, the Republicans, I mean, same thing with Schumer. Schumer doing that. There's an audio cut from Schumer.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
We played it. We played Obama.
Yeah.
What happened to the Democratic Party where they just said to hell with safety and security for Americans? What happened? Every Democrat listening knows that's the case. Everyone.
Especially those who voted Democrat back in the day.
Yeah.
Because if you're a Democrat who voted for that party, that supported that party, and that was part of the foundation of why you voted that way, but you're still voting for them, man, I got a ton of questions for you.
Yeah. When you see the things that they propose right now, I mentioned to our pre-show meeting, we'll talk about it. Somebody else says that what we've been saying here on the show for years.
Yep.
Actually, since 2015.
Yep.
Is a secret.
And I got a little bone to pick. We'll
tell you what. We'll tell you about that. Yeah. Somebody else.
It's kind of a little bit of a family conflict, if you will. But you know what? We're all family, so it's okay. We're gonna straighten it out. Right here on Red Eye Radio.
Yeah,
that's coming up.
You want to hear we had some fun with it.
Yeah.
866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. You know, one of the things we've always wondered, we talk about the liberals in the media, for example, like the Barry Weiss, Matt Taibbi's, Matt Schellenberger, and more, that have been lifelong Democrats and are like, no. Mm-hmm. You know, they obviously don't like where the Democratic Party is going. You and I have talked about Brett Weinstein before. He's a guy that he's been on Rogan. Look, he's liberal. There's things I agree with him, and there's things I disagree with him on. Mm-hmm. But he was at Evergreen University. Remember this one where he was against, the day of absence, mm-hmm. where whites weren't supposed to come in to school that day. And he was completely against it. He ended up resigning because of it. But I was just looking at what he wrote on X yesterday. Biden voters should look in the mirror and ask themselves, what have I become? I'm being serious and literal. Go look in an actual mirror and ask yourself the question out loud. Either you'll see it or you won't. And if you do, you can rejoin America outside the cave. Good luck. First response, I have no idea what this means. It's pretty simple. A party that fields an obviously senile candidate for a second term is replacing a constitutional republic with something we've never discussed, something that is not based on the consent of the governed. My country, right or wrong, is obscene. My party, right or wrong, is 1,000 times more so. Politics, as usual, is tantamount to just following orders at a moment like this. Just thought it was interesting. I just wonder, again, liberals, how many of them are looking at this going, this is nuts.
Yeah. It really is. I mean, you get your you don't, with the left these days, it's not just talking points, it's walking points. The far left leads you in every way. And remember, it used to be tolerance, and now we're to the point, silence is violence. You can't not participate. That's forbidden. So not only do they give you the talking points, they give you the walking points. This is the action you must take. And if you're not taking these actions, you're not part of us and you don't belong. This is the left over and over again in this liberal circular firing squad that gets worse by the second. But that's where the party is today.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thank you so much for being here. Well, it's March, so every March I just go onto YouTube because it was March 27th, 1980 that Mount St. Helens started blowing off steam, and then on May 18th of 1980 is when it blew up. So I'm watching documentaries and everything else, and, different documentaries on it because I find it fascinating. I've said before, and I took, in my first year of college, I took geology.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no interest in it at all. None.
Right.
I think I got like a C- in it. Boy, I want to hit myself over the head because I just, absolutely fascinated by volcanoes and geology.
Yeah.
And if I hadn't chosen this, that would be one of the other professions that I might have wanted to do.
The more I learned about it, the more I wanted to do it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I'm fascinated by it. But so I'm going through, and all of a sudden on YouTube, I'm like, what's this? And it's the movie that was done. It was the movie done in 1981 called St. Helens. And it was Art Carney was in it. Art Carney played Harry Truman, the guy who wouldn't come off the mountain, the 84-year-old guy.
Right, yeah.
And so it's not the greatest acting in the movie. Let's put it this way. If the movie was I would call it not a B movie, a B+ movie.
Right.
All right. But it was still interesting to see. And I'm watching as I was doing show prep yesterday. And then I went, how old was Art Carney when he did this? Because he looks 84, like Harry Truman was when he died.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to Wikipedia. He was 5 years younger than I am now. When he did
I do that a lot.
Oh.
I do that a lot. It's like, well, how old was he when he started, like, especially with things like Abe Vigoda, who was always old. Oh, my gosh. When he started that gig, he was 10 years younger than I am now. Yeah.
And I said,
there's, by the way, a fascinating documentary that features reporting from Lars Larson.
Oh, yeah.
On that whole thing.
Yep.
I watched that. I don't know. It goes back a year or two. Watched that, and it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, you go back and you watch some of the documentaries and the people that went through it, and what I don't know how it came up on YouTube, but it did. And once I saw it, I'm just you cannot get me to stop watching it.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of still YouTube videos of that actual day and the news reporting from the local stations on that day.
Right, yeah.
And what you have to remember is, we didn't. If that was happening today, would there be another story?
No.
And everybody would be parked outside the perimeter, the safe perimeter. I mean, you would have 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
And well, you didn't have it. It was on the nightly news, and that was it.
Right.
You really didn't have it. It
Right.
didn't. And so to watch the local news covering it out of Portland was really, really fascinating. And to watch, I mean, the Zoom cameras they had, that they were really good.
Yeah.
And we didn't have high definition back then, but still,
Right.
I was like, whoa, wow. I could imagine waking up that morning in Portland and all of a sudden looking on, there's Mount St. Helens, you put it on the TV, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
What,
Right.
is this hell on earth or whatever, but fascinating to watch. And then looking at different videos through the years, one was done, latest one I think would have been on the 40th anniversary. So that would have been 21. And they were talking about how, the lakes were coming back. And it was interesting to where the logging companies, you can actually see the difference where the logging companies planted trees as to where the part of it that's a national park has to stay. They want to see, they don't want to do anything to that particular area. They want to see how it grows naturally.
Right.
But they've just found out so much, but just was just fascinated by that. Absolutely fascinated.
Yeah. Yeah. It
But
is fascinating.
I said that to a friend of mine, and she wrote back. She goes, "Yeah, but when he did this movie, and I forgot what movie it was, and it was Wilford Brimley." She goes, "He was my age." I'm like, "Oh,
Was that Cocoon?
maybe it was
I think we
Cocoon.
talked about that one time.
Cocoon. It was.
Yeah.
It's like he was in his 50s or something,
Yeah,
or
right,
40s or 50s
right.
or something. It's like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? He was 107.
Right. It was crazy. I love doing that with actors, because back then, and I know it's in part because I was younger, but a lot of those actors just seemed older than they were. And sometimes they made the makeup, they would enhance it a little bit, and but they just seemed older. Abe Vigoda was always old.
Yeah, I don't think that was makeup.
Well,
he just was always old.
I mean,
Is there a high
The
school
Godfather.
picture of him?
yeah, he looks exactly the same. And that deadpan look of his face, that was just great. Yeah, I mean, The Godfather, all of that is just, it's like, on one hand, you can say, well, the guy never aged. And on the other hand, it's because he was always old from the beginning. But
yeah,
yeah.
I had to mention that.
Yeah.
All right, some news here. This is fascinating because someone is lying.
Oh.
The January 6th Congressional Committee allegedly falsely claimed it did not have evidence that showed former President Trump's administration requested National Guard assistance, according to a report detailing a, quote, hidden transcript that was recently released. The former J6 Select Committee apparently withheld, let me just see here, make sure, did I read this in the beginning? It was like Mr. White House Deputy Chief of Staff Anthony Ornato's interview. The former J6 committee apparently withheld Mr. Ornato's critical witness testimony from the American people because it contradicted their predetermined narrative. Mr. Ornato's testimony proves what Mr. Meadows has said all along. President Trump did, in fact, offer 10,000 National Guard troops to secure the U.S. Capitol, which were turned down. Georgia Republican Representative Barry Loudermilk said in a statement on Friday. Loudermilk released a transcript of former White House Deputy Chief of Staff Anthony Ornato's interview with the Congressional Committee investigating January 6 on Friday, following the Federalist Molly Hemingway, also a Fox News contributor, reporting that former Representative Liz Cheney's January 6 committee suppressed evidence that the Trump administration pushed for 10,000 National Guard members to be on the streets. Ornato's interview was conducted in January of 22 and attended by Cheney, among other members on the committee. In addition to serving as Deputy Chief of Staff under Trump, Ornato served in the Secret Service for decades. The committee, which included 7 Democrats and now 2 former Republican Congress members, including Cheney, concluded it found no evidence that the Trump administration called for 10,000 National Guard members to Washington, D.C. to protect the Capitol. Trump has long claimed he requested the National Guard, but that then House Speaker Nancy Pelosi failed to act on the request amid and following the Congressional Committee's investigation. Media outlets such as the Washington Post debunked Trump's comments, repeatedly awarding him 4 Pinocchios. Loudermilk on Friday released a transcript of Ornato's interview with the committee that details how he allegedly overheard then White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows asking D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser to request as much protection for D.C. as she needed. When it comes to National Guard, quote, when it comes to National Guard statement about having 10,000 troops or any other number of troops, do you recall any discussion prior to the 6th about whether and how many National Guard troops should be deployed on January 6th? A staffer with the committee asked Ornato, quote, I remember he was on the phone with Bowser, and I had walked in for something, and I was there. He was on the phone with her and wanted to make sure she had everything she needed because I think it was a concern of anti and pro groups clashing is what I recall, and not anywhere near the Capitol. This was just out on the mall area or the event, and wanted to know if she needed any more guardsmen. Ornato responded, according to the transcript reviewed by Fox News Digital. Ornato went on to cite the 10,000 guardsmen number, according to this transcript, arguing Trump wanted, quote, to make sure you have enough. And I remember the number 10,000 coming up of, the president wants to make sure that you have enough. He is willing to ask for 10,000. I remember that number. Now that you said it, it reminded me of it, and that she was all set. She had, I think, it was like 350 or so for intersection control and those types of thing, not in law enforcement capacity at the time. And then that's the only thing I remember and recall is that number of 10,000 National Guardsmen, he continued. Ornato said in the interview with the committee that the mayor refused additional National Guard members. The White House requested the Defense Department have a quick reaction force on hand. The only thing I remember with the DOD and the National Guard was even though the mayor didn't want any National Guard in D.C., that a request was made to have kind of, lack of a better term, a quick reaction force out of Joint Base Andrews, being that it was a military installation, Ornato said in his interview, according to the transcript. I remember Chief Meadows talking to DOD about that, I believe. I remember Chief Matthews letting me know that, hey, there was going to be a National Guard that's going to be at a Joint Base Andrews in case you're going to need some more. We're going to. The mayor would only need any. We're going to make sure that they're out there. Cheney spokesperson Jeremy Alder said that the Federalist report is flatly false. Okay, it says the Federalist report is flatly false. No transcripts were destroyed, and as this letter, which has long been public, describes in detail, the committee adhered to its obligation to allow the Secret Service to protect sensitive security information for interviews of its agents before preserving the testimony in the archives. Going to be interesting. Somebody's lying. I saw Liz Cheney and Mark Levin going at it.
Yeah.
You saw that back and forth on Twitter.
Right.
Oh, so it's going to be, somebody's lying.
Yep.
Somebody's lying.
Yep. Well, let's get to the truth. I don't have a problem.
Neither do I.
Finding the truth. Never have.
Yeah.
Let's get down to it.
Yep. I don't know what the truth is. Let's find the truth.
Let's find the truth.
And this is one of the reasons that we disagreed with the January 6th committee, and that is because, and it was reprehensible for Liz Cheney, and I'll say this till the day I die, the fact that she did not have any type of due process or request any type of due process where you would have a Trump team, the defense, be able to challenge, or the Republicans challenge, any witnesses or any evidence that came across.
Right.
Cross-examination should have been part of it. The fact that she didn't care about that shows she is not a conservative, no matter how much she tries to portray one.
Right. Yeah, that's over. It's over. I don't know. We kind of joked about it on Friday, in relation to the No Labels Party and if they might go, at first you had brought up and said, well, she still holds conservative principles. But then we paused and said, wait, maybe she doesn't. Where is she on a number of items? Now, if you pose that question to her right now, she would, I'm sure, yeah, but you throw all that out after what you've done.
Yeah, if you don't believe in due process, I don't know how you're not a conservative.
Exactly.
And I don't care whether it's a political, the same thing with, remember, what's his name, the Democrat, Nadler.
Yeah.
For the first impeachment.
Yeah.
Saying, you've got to give the other side a response. This is unconstitutional what you're doing in it.
Right.
That was a political activity.
Yep.
Same thing here.
Tells me you're afraid of the truth when you do that.
866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
The IFTA tax program redistributes tax revenue to states based on your actual miles run. Thus, the truly cheapest fuel can only be found if you subtract federal and state taxes and state surcharges from the pump price to compare. The strategy means that you buy without regard for whether you are paying more at the pump in taxes. IFTA also considers state surcharges, which complicates the fuel buying strategy. Indiana, Kentucky, and Virginia have per-gallon surcharges. Connecticut, Kentucky, New Mexico, New York, and Oregon have per-mile surcharges. While some owner-operators buy only enough fuel to get through surcharge states, this practice can backfire, depending on the actual cost of the fuel in each state. When comparing fuel prices, always remember, pump pride minus taxes equals the real fuel cost. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more detail on this and many other topics.
Brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Oh, wow. We'll play some of the president's, I don't know, cognitive problems.
Yeah, full demonstration.
Yeah, the what?
Full demonstration of it.
Yeah, I mean,
over the weekend.
It was funny because we said that probably by Sunday night, Monday morning when we come in, there will be no talk about the State of the Union. I didn't know that it would basically by Friday night going into Saturday morning. Because Saturday morning is really when I woke up and saw all the different audio that was all over the place saying, well, apparently that was a one-off.
Yep.
Because he had major problems from that point. Also coming up here, what was the other thing? The whole junk fee.
Yeah.
Great point was made over the weekend in an editorial that I read.
Yeah.
If credit card late fees, because credit card late fees is the incentive to pay your minimum payment on time.
Yeah. Right.
Right?
Yep.
Minimum payments for most credit cards, the minimum payment isn't a lot of money.
Right.
You think about it. That's why you don't pay the minimum payment, because it may take you 3 centuries to pay it off.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason it exists, number one, is to encourage you to pay on time. But if those are junk fees, what are the late fees if you don't pay your taxes on time?
I don't know, but they should be limited to $8. That's a junk fee.
The government imposes hefty penalties for late tax filings.
They do.
Same thing. You owe the government something.
That's right.
Why is the government demanding these incredible late fees from you?
Right. It's wrong.
It's wrong. Where's Joe Biden to protect you?
We're not going to stand for it anymore. It's serious. Serious. No joke.
And what about parking tickets? You get tickets. You get fined if you don't pay that on time.
That's right. Yep. You get fined. I don't know how many government services you get fined. A late fee.
Yeah.
If you don't pay on time.
Yeah. We need to stop the junk fees on taxes.
That's right. On all government services.
It's
including alleged speeding tickets.
Alleged. I like that.
My new truck's pretty fast, by the way. In a totally unrelated note.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Well, so I'm sitting here reading. This was in Real Clear Politics, and it was written by Ben Shapiro, who we know.
Yeah, right.
Ben syndicated by the same company we work for.
Yep.
Westwood One. Mm. His headline here. Dirty little secret of the 2024 campaign. This week, new polling showed what Democrats have long feared. Donald Trump is now in a commanding position to defeat Joe Biden and win re-election in 2024. According to the New York Times Siena poll, Trump is up 48-43 over Biden. What's more, Biden is actually underwater among Hispanics, earns just 2/3 of black votes, and has cratered among independents. According to the Real Clear Politics polling average, Trump now leads in every swing state but Pennsylvania and is within the margin of error there, too. Nationally, Trump has not trailed Biden since September of 2023. We all know what's going wrong for Biden. He's widely perceived as too old to be running again. Americans remain unhappy with the economy, deeply enraged over border policy, and alarmed by the brush fires around the world. Biden came into office promising normalcy, and instead he has delivered chaos. But there's something else that is going on here, too. Tell me if you've heard this before. Joe Biden is losing to Donald Trump because of a dirty little secret.
Yeah?
Nobody knows this is happening.
Oh?
It's a secret.
Uh-huh.
And then Ben goes on to write, Donald Trump is actually the moderate in the race. On nearly every issue, Trump is closer to the median voter than Biden.
Two thoughts here.
Yes.
We want to thank young Ben. That's what we call him, young Ben. In the hallways, it's kind of an insider thing. He doesn't mind.
In the hallways, like we see him, we don't see him.
No,
he's not the same.
Wait, he doesn't mind because he doesn't even know we exist.
Exactly,
and that's the other thing.
Yes, that right there.
Look, young Ben, to say that the fact that Donald Trump is a moderate is a dirty little secret is to say, because Red Eye Radio's been saying it for years, is to say that Red Eye Radio has no influence. How dare you? How dare you?
No, I'm just happy that more people are out there promoting it.
He's right.
It hasn't been a secret. We've been talking about it for the longest time here. Well, at least it hasn't been a secret to us or our listeners, because if you're a listener to the show, we've been talking about this for the longest time, that Trump is a moderate.
Mm-hmm.
That Trump is not a conservative. You know how you know that? Because when we disagree with Trump, it's because we're the conservatives and he's not.
Right. He is mainstream. You've been saying this since the beginning.
Yeah. He's as mainstream as you can get.
And I do wonder, though, are there more voters, rank and file, putting that together? Is it not such a dirty little secret anymore? Are they looking at it, and maybe it's subconscious for them? They're not, looking at it and putting it on, the meter of far left, which on the left, or far right on the right. And it would be, that needle would be right there in the center. Are they just looking at it going, okay, what did he actually do? I know the things he said, but what did he actually do as president that everybody's freaking out about? What does he actually want to do? Well,
now that the majority of Americans want a wall,
it's here's the thing. He may not. They may be. Think about this. This is bizarre thought. The possibility of if he makes it back to the White House, then more Americans putting pressure on him to build a wall. Hey, man, you said you were going to build a wall.
We're into 2028.
By
Democrats demand that Trump build a wall.
I really wish that to be the case. I would love to see that kind of pressure. It would mean that we're finally getting serious about it. And then I'll just throw in, if I'm, going into unicorn land, that Americans also get serious and seriously concerned about the national debt. Again, if we're going to, look, it's the night after the Oscars. If they can pretend, so can we.
Well, then Ben goes on to show the polling on everything, including what we mentioned probably the last, 3-4 months, that even on abortion, with Trump talking about, 16 weeks, whatever, more Americans agree with that than Biden's position, which is abortion till birth.
Right.
So you take and we know that on the border, on inflation, on spending, on Americans favoring Israel over Hamas.
Mm-hmm.
They all favor Trump. You see Trump over the weekend talked about how fast I don't know if it was over the weekend, it could have been Friday, where he, on Truth Social, where he talked about, and I think it was in response to the State of the Union address, where he was getting hit by Biden as if he didn't care. And he goes, "What are you talking about? I'm the one that got vaccines to the market." I'm like, oh, wow.
Right.
He's actually, I got the vaccines to the market that saved so many, millions of lives.
That's one of the conundrums you're in when you're that guy.
Yeah, but the fact is, he's not going to lose any votes for saying that.
No, he won't.
And it shows that, what have we told him he needs to do?
Well, focus on the issues.
Needs to focus on the independents.
Yep.
And then the bill that came out from Congress that they're proposing, where TikTok be bought by an American company.
Mm-hmm.
And who was it? Was it Zuckerberg says? Was Zuckerberg who said he might do it? Or was it Elon Musk? I forgot. It was Zuckerberg.
Yeah, I forget.
I thought it was Zuckerberg who said, yes. And he goes, well, then no, I'm against the legislation because we already know that Facebook will screw us over. In an election,
Right,
it's like, wow. And then it came out, I saw the Newsweek article. Funniest thing, I didn't see the quote from Steve Bannon. It's like Steve Bannon implies that Trump may have been bought by TikTok. Now, I didn't see the quote, and it's irresponsible for Newsweek to put a story out without a quote.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
If you're going to say somebody, at least have the decency to read the quote. I don't know if you said it or not, because I put it in Google. Newsweek's the only story that came up on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But as we have stated, Trump, all he needs to do is his base is as solid as could be.
It's not going to budge.
It's not going to budge no matter what. They'll whatever. I disagree with Trump on that, but I'm going to vote for him anyway. He's solid in his base. I don't know what he could do to get rid of his base. And so the only thing, the smart political move is start going for, more independents and Democrats. In fact, that's what you say, independents. You don't need to necessarily wimp down. You know, that was part of the criticism of the response to the State of the Union address from Senator Britt. It's like, well, it wasn't strong enough. Yeah, but that's fine. Nobody remembers those. Nobody watched that.
Right. And
no big
by the
deal.
way, SNL doing a skit on that over the weekend.
And
are you kidding me?
And I bet you half the people had no idea what they were
exactly
referring to.
what I thought.
Yep.
Exactly what I thought. What is this supposed to be about?
Right.
What is this skit supposed to be about?
But if you want to go for independence, simply say, Trump should get out there and say, independents, Democrats, here's where I stand on the issue. Here are the polling numbers. America agrees with me. You agree with me. You don't sit there and Trump doesn't need to say, I need to relate to independents and Democrats out there. And so he doesn't need to come out and say, I need to rephrase the way that I do everything. All he's got to do is say, here are the issues. Independents agree with me. Democrats, look at the number. Look at the number of Democrats that agree with me. 45% of Democrats agree with me.
Right.
You need to vote for me.
Right.
Because we relate on those items. You don't need to say that you're moving to the left.
No.
What you have to say is America agrees. Don't get left or right out of it. America agrees with me.
Yep.
And that's why my poll numbers are high.
Right.
And I invite all independents and all Democrats who have come around on these issues and think like I do, vote for me.
Yep.
Don't vote for Joe Biden, who will vote against your best interests.
Right.
And that way, you're not compromising at all.
No. There was more talk about whether Biden would debate or not, and we made the point at the beginning of the show. Look, if the Joe Scarboroughs of the world out there say that he's got more energy than ever, then he should be doing more things than ever as an incumbent. He should be campaigning more, doing more sit-down interviews, not fewer. He should be doing the debates, and we haven't heard anything on that yet. But he should have no problem doing the debates. But the fact of the matter is, when you back away from that part of it, the debates aren't necessary. The point being, if you're the Trump campaign, all you have to do is point. Everybody already sees it. It's not in the abstract. They're dealing with the reality already. Connect with them on what they're dealing with every day and do that every day.
I really think, and I wouldn't say this about many other candidates, but I don't think Trump has to do any campaigning or waste any campaign dollars on trying to convince his base to stay with him.
I agree.
I think all of his efforts, especially with what may be limited campaign funds because of his legal fees, that he needs to focus everything on independents and Democrats. And he needs to create his own news again, which is if he's at a rally and says, Democrats and independents, they like what I do. And you bring out the polling, in this poll out here, boom, 42% of Democrats. That's 4 out of 10 Democrats agree with me.
Yep.
Vote for me. Don't vote for him.
Right.
You need to come along with me.
Right.
And independents, the same thing. This isn't about politics. This isn't about Republican and Democrat anymore.
Right.
I'm running as a Republican, but I'm running because we believe on the correct way, or whatever you say. Correct may not be the word you want to use, but we believe the right way on these issues, and we agree with 60% of independents and 40% of Democrats.
Right.
Let's all come together. We can unite this country behind the issues that we agree on. By the way, that's all coming ad lib.
And it's you don't have to get into the weeds on anything.
Nope.
You don't. Everything is right there. It's what people are seeing and dealing with every single day. And all you have to do is point to it.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Harley Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Coming up, junk fees, electric vehicles, and a whole bunch more. The Biden's cognitive ability cognitive challenges show up again.
Yeah, that's it was, and it just going into the weekend, I thought maybe they'd give it a break for a day, but that in terms of the campaign, the Biden campaign, you got the left screaming, "Oh, look," using the word fiery at every turn.
Oh, that was great.
They didn't even let that ride before all of a sudden he comes out and it was stumble after fumble after stumble and showed exactly where he is. We knew that was going to happen. But I thought for sure, okay, we give him the weekend off. Put some time out there for our surrogates to cheerlead for us, and there was no time at all. There was no time at all. And that interview, by the way, with MSNBC was the arrogance in his eyes and the defiance. Man, that never goes away. There's so many things right now aesthetically that are working against him. And it's just on full display every day. And has been for a while. You're not going to change it.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thanks for being here. Hi. Welcome to a Monday. Hello. 6 days from St. Patrick's Day. Yay.
All right, then.
I did watch some sports.
What'd you watch?
I watched an hour of the golf, and I did watch college basketball.
All right.
But only one game.
All right. Which game?
The Iowa-Nebraska women's game.
All right.
And I will say this, because, Caitlin Clark, who now has, and I love the debate going on. I mean, people going crazy. I have all the respect in the world for friends of mine that are radio sports talk show hosts, because I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't get excited about the arguments that they have, and you know what? She broke all the records, by the way, for college basketball scoring. She doesn't have Pete Maravich's per game career average. Nobody's ever going to have that one.
Right.
But the debate going on. Oh man, and I will say this though, the one thing that I find fascinating is because Caitlin Clark has helped revigorate women's basketball. She really has.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing about her is and she played great yesterday, and her shot was horrible. She couldn't for the first part of it. Was it the day before? Because she played the day before. She missed 11 3-pointers in a row. And I made sure that my nephew or my great nephew heard about that, because he's at that point where if he misses one shot, it's like can't get over missing a shot. It's
right.
Like, what are you talking? The best miss it. But against Nebraska, they came out really strong, and they were down. I mean, they were down by 7 points, and she played great, and she hit clutch shots. And they played, I said last week, what I found a little interesting was how they could play great, and then they played very undisciplined at times. They played very disciplined the last. I mean, they were playing, moving that ball around like crazy, and she's a great passer too. She's a great passer. But it was fascinating. They almost, the game went into overtime. Nebraska played great. But I was thinking as I'm watching this game that, there are moments in sports and moments in women's sports that capture the nation. She's one to do that, as was the 99 women's soccer team. Remember that?
Right, yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, these fans are going crazy. And then I'm watching, I just was scanning through and watching other women's college basketball games. There's a lot of people watching. There's a lot of people in the stands for the major college programs.
Right.
And here the left is attempting to throw in, okay, it's time for men to play.
Yeah, right.
And I just went, wow, if there was ever a time not to bring that up, it would be this year. It's
right, right. Well, it's and I see that, and as you brought it up, I'm thinking to myself, and I've been thinking about this as you get into March, it's all about basketball, and when you say women's this or women's that, and it's like not for long. I mean, it really is getting to the point where. And I'm waiting for somebody to say it. It's wrong to call it women's basketball. Right?
Yes.
I mean, the left is all about the label.
Yeah.
And the moment they do that, universities, boom, across the board, are going to start responding. And if you don't respond in the right way, you're in trouble.
So here we have this story here. Well, sorry, but that has to come to mind when you see the passion to have women on the big sports stage,
yeah,
and produce a product, because all sports is product, and produce a product that is right now creating more excitement than the men's college game.
Yeah. True story, yeah.
And an incredible excitement. And then you're thinking, okay, left, you're going to throw, is it time to throw a guy into the entire
right
into the entire mix there because women's college basketball needs a man?
Right. Right.
And I'm sorry, but that thought was going through my head as I'm just watching, this excitement. And it wasn't, I had turned a couple other games on for a couple of minutes just over the weekend and over the last couple of weeks. Just to see, I said, okay, this isn't Iowa.
Right.
Is there excitement? Right. Yeah, there's plenty of excitement in the top women's programs right now. And it's great to see because I like great athletics. I don't care whether it's a man or a woman.
Right.
If it's great, I'll watch it.
Yep.
And it was great. And so then this story came out. The NXXT Golf Tour CEO, Stuart McKinnon, responded to the backlash surrounding his decision to ban transgender athletes from the Women's Pro Tour, arguing the move ultimately came down to ensuring female athletes a right to competitive fairness on the course.
Oh.
Now, the LPGA's next, because the LPGA, right now, from what I know, you can be a man and play.
Right.
The decision to ban biological males from competing in the women's league sparked outrage from transgender golfer Haley Davidson, who won the NXXT Women's Classic back in January. McKinnon addressed the controversial decision. It's not a controversial decision, Fox.
It's not.
Stop writing it, Fox. Fox, stop writing that. Controversial decision. On how it was made, was on Fox and Friends, said, we didn't make the decision lightly. We knew it was a polarizing topic. that would evoke a lot of emotions from people out there. McKinnon said on Sunday, we took a lot of time in educating ourselves. Educating, for God's sake, stop it.
Yeah.
We need to be educated on it. Male, female, end of story.
It's
God, jeez, stop it.
Yeah, they when I read or see people talking like that, I'm absolutely 100% out. When I see that, it's like, okay, you're a moron. I'm not going to tiptoe. I'm not walking on eggshells for anyone. The facts are the facts. The truth is the truth. And if you want to try and talk around it and change language, sorry, I'm out. No.
Listen, we took a lot of time in educating ourselves, spoke to many stakeholders in the golfing community and the sporting community at large, from coaches and players, with doctors and scientists, and educated ourselves. Well, then you're an idiot and should not be CEO of any pro golf tour.
Right.
If you couldn't figure this out on your own.
Mm-hmm.
It really came down to one principle, and that was about competitive fairness.
Yeah. Right. Uh-huh.
We felt that the biological male had a physiological advantage against the women on the tour, and we made the decision to change. Davidson, the transgender golfer, sounded off on the ban on Instagram, saying, "You know what really bugs me is that people think I win just by showing up. This is such a big slap on the face to all female athletes being told that any male can transition and beat them regardless of the life of hard work that these women put in." Nobody's making that argument.
Nope.
Has to make an argument that nobody is making.
Right.
Nobody's making that argument.
The straw man, once again.
Yeah. Nobody is saying that I, as much as I love golf, and we'll start swinging a club this week, by the way, for the first time in months.
This week is the big week?
This week's the big week.
All right.
Yeah, this week's the big week.
We got the weather for it, too, right? Yeah.
I mean, I'm just going to go out and hit like 20, 30 golf balls.
All right.
Time, so.
Okay.
But that's like saying, because again, they're making an argument. They can't argue the actual point.
Right.
So they make an argument that nobody is making. Nobody is arguing that I now or 5 years ago when I was in my mid-30s.
I'm sorry, what?
Nobody's making the argument that now or when I was in my 20s, I could just say I'm a woman and show up on the pro golf tour and beat the women. Nobody's making that point.
Right.
No one ever is making that point.
Right.
And that's the only thing that the transgender athlete has, is making an argument that nobody is making.
Right. And it's only a matter of time. It's all going to, there is no, right now, real fight with the organizations themselves to resist this and say, no. You're not seeing that.
Well, they're doing it there. And here's the thing. This is, again, the whole virtue signaling. Yes, we invite men to play the tour. They win a game. They win a match. We don't want men on the tour.
Yeah.
So it's the ultimate virtue signaling.
Right.
We want it until we get it, and then we don't want it.
Right. Well, no, I mean, the boomerang comes back around, and it will inevitably, but you have to go through the entire process, which is stupid. We all know it for what it is.
Yeah.
But they should be able to play. They can play.
Yeah.
You can play. Get out there and play. But they will feel uncomfortable in the locker room.
And there is no guarantee of success.
No, there isn't. There's no guarantee of even making the cut to qualify to play. I mean, to be on the team. I know this.
I know it.
That's why I'm a musician today. Thank goodness. I mean, I remember Little League, and I was on both basketball and Little League. I played on base at Laughlin Air Force Base near Del Rio as a kid. Great experience. But I understood what my role was. Now, in basketball at the time, I was having a growth spurt that the other guys on my team were not. And so I played center, and it worked out. And we got to a tournament, and it worked out. We did very well. They took us to see, after the season, they took us to see the Spurs play the New Orleans Jazz. Our team was called the Spurs, by the way. Our little team was called the Spurs. And so our coach, Coach Turk, got us. I don't know how he got it together, but we hit the road and went to San Antonio and watched the Spurs take on the New Orleans Jazz.
See, you played Little League.
Yeah.
I got cut.
Yeah, I played Little League baseball, too.
I never think about this. Think about today, in day and age. I got cut from every single youth sports team I ever tried out for. I never made one Little League team. In basketball, in football, in hockey, in baseball. I was cut from everything. Little League all the way up through high school. The only team I made in my senior year was the CYO team, and CYO basketball was pretty big, and the coach did not make cuts.
Right.
But there was a reason he didn't make cuts. Because we started out with 20. There was a great team. We could have beat many high school teams. We ended up being a great team, but started out that year with 26 people in August. They started practicing in August for this league. By October, we had 4 people.
Wow.
That's how hard he worked you. Kids didn't want to do it.
Right.
That's the only reason he didn't cut. Is because if you made it to November when we started playing games, you ended up becoming somebody who would be an asset on the court because he worked you that hard.
Right, yeah.
But I never made any team, and I look back at that as the best thing that ever happened to me in my entire life when it comes to lessons for a professional career.
Well, it is that failure. You have to learn from the failure. There are certain lessons that you should only learn from failure. They're best learned from failure.
As my mom told me before she died, she always told me, she said, you never gave up. You'd sit there and you'd cry for 10 minutes and you'd be back out throwing the ball again. And it really.
And that was when you were in your 30s.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I was still trying out for the Little League team.
Exactly.
Like, come on, let me. It was my karate.
Karate, yeah.
Yes,
exactly.
I dominated the dojo.
Yeah, exactly.
Kramer, you're fighting children. Well, I'm dominating the dojo, Jerry.
Exactly.
But it was the best lesson ever because failure ended up not meaning as much to me as it did to a lot of other people. It was just another life experience, and you kept going on and going on and going on. And to me, that's the key of life, where failure doesn't mean, failure does mean something. You want to improve yourself. You learn from it, but you don't obsess with it.
Well,
and you're not afraid to climb mountains.
Right.
You defeat the fear of everything if the fear of failure is gone.
Right. Exactly. And you have to, because it sets you up in life to know what your strengths and weaknesses are.
Yeah.
You know?
And you learn not to care what anybody thinks. Oh, you failed at it. Yep. Whatever.
Yep.
By the way, very healthy. You stink. Yeah. Opinions vary.
Exactly.
You're quoting that Patrick Swayze movie. Yep. 866-98 Red Eye.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Let's play some audio here. This is Biden. This is the interview we did on MSNBC. Remember, these are taped interviews, which means they edited them.
Right.
So they were trying to find the best of Biden answering questions.
Yep.
But when you ask a question on Israel, it's almost like, okay, he's got to answer this one. This is where he had brain freeze again.
Some have suggested you should go back to Israel and address the Knesset, the Israeli parliament. Is that something you would do?
Yes.
Would that have to be at the invitation of the prime minister, or could that be at the invitation of the president?
I'd rather not discuss it more.
Does that mean that has been discussed, the possibility of going back to Israel and addressing the Knesset? Okay.
You hear him laughing because you should see Biden when number one, you see those moments of silence. His eyes are blinking like crazy.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
It looks like he's misfiring.
Yeah. His eyes, before he answers, like, brrr, and then right before he would answer it, I don't really want to answer his eyes, brrr. It's like he doesn't know what to say.
No,
he doesn't know. He doesn't know how to respond to any questions. And as we said, look, in last year when he did the State of the Union, if he's able to go over it time and time again, he can get through with less flubs. It's on the fly. It's ad lib. It's answering questions from people that he just can't do.
No, he can't. He can't. A debate is out of the question.
Yeah, he can't.
They may put him up there, but what a nightmare of a move that would be.
The other audio cuts where he was was it Pittsburgh or Pennsylvania?
Yeah,
where
right.
He said that he'd be running for Congress.
Right. Send me to Congress.
Send me to Congress. I mean, it's just
wow,
man, it's just.
Soon, they'll be going into a deep dive. Make time. Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. This is a online speech that Trump gave.
Okay.
All right. He was just speaking, and Joe was with him.
Yeah.
All right. Now, it's almost as if there is no script, so he's just looking for words, general words, or general statements. Here we go.
Let's think about this. We laid out what we want to do, and Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans are going to do. And what they're going to do is to ensure really endanger our national security. They're going to expend, are they going to expand personal freedoms? Well, that's what we're going to do. They're going to do everything to not grow our economy. Literally, they have no platform. They're against everything, not for anything, except the things that are the wrong things. What they're running on, I'll tell you what they're running on. They're running backwards. Mm-hmm. It's about the future, not the past. But guess what? We won't let them win the past.
Huh?
It's weird.
It's like his brain is misfiring. That sounded like Dana Carvey. That sounded like Dana Carvey's impression of him the other day that we played.
Well, listen.
Because he's just all over the place.
Listen to this one. Here we go. All right. Okay. This is when Biden gets nearer to the truth, where he talks about the fact. Now, this is on the teleprompter, though.
Yeah, right.
It's a speech.
Yeah.
This is where he said, "We added more to the national debt than any president in his term in all of history." Here we go.
We cut the deficit, and we added more to the national debt than any president in his term in all of history, and under Donald Trump.
What?
Well, I mean, it was bad. I mean, there's just everywhere on Friday. It was just, you could not get away from it on social media. And this was again, and this is using the teleprompter. Now, who knows if he went off? I don't know. But here we go. This is the Trump in Pennsylvania. This is Biden in Pennsylvania.
You know, in Pennsylvania, I have a message for you. Send me to Congress that I can support this right, and I promise you, if we take back Congress, we will restore Roe v. Wade as the law of the land.
There you go.
Huh? I mean, seriously. Hey, Scarborough, what does that sound like?
But I will say this, and I said this on Friday, because Friday was instant analysis, because I actually watched it between 11 and 12. Mm-hmm. So when I came on the air, it was my immediate thoughts, because I watched it delayed because I'm sleeping, and I have to get my sleep. And I had said this, I went, the reason the left is going crazy about what a great speech it was, because he was full of anger and rage, and that's what drives the Democrats on a national level, is rage all the time.
Yeah.
And so they respond to the rage. Doesn't matter the substance. Rage, don't make too many flubs, just rage. There was no attempt, and it was across the board, really.
Right,
Anybody who's
right.
even a intellectually honest Democrat will say, yeah, I mean, there was nothing in that speech where you want in a speech where both sides rise up in unity.
Right.
Never happened.
Right.
And, but it was accusations from the beginning. You know, I was reading, I didn't read Turley over the weekend, but his instant analysis was, well, you know, people need to stop interrupting what goes on. And I read that before I actually listened to it on Thursday night, Friday morning. I read that. So I was expecting, because you saw the Marjorie Taylor Greene thing, and they kept repeating it. I thought that was like early on, and she was doing it repeatedly. By the way that I didn't think that. That's what was being portrayed to me, was that it was constantly being interrupted.
Right.
Well, the one didn't come from a Republican. It came from a Gold Star father.
Right.
And so that was completely understandable. She only hit him once, and that was on illegal immigration. That's the only time she hit him. That was it. And what, he said, it was, an angry speech, but it was also very accusatory on it. You don't have that happen. It wasn't where, for example, you're promoting something, you're not criticizing, you're promoting what you're doing, and someone yells out, "You're a liar."
Right.
It was constant attacks. It was what really blew a lot of people away was going after the Supreme Court there.
Well,
going
I
after
saw
the
that
judges
over the
there.
weekend, and they're sitting right there, of course. And I saw the analysis of that, saying right there, calling them to the carpet. But it didn't surprise me.
No, it didn't. No.
At
Not
all.
at all. No.
I mean, I don't think, in fact, I think he used that as having them sitting in front of him. I think he saw as an opportunity to do that then. That's a great campaign opportunity for him. It was a campaign speech, to be clear. And they took it. So it didn't surprise us at all. And then the word got out on Friday that Speaker Johnson had told Republicans, House Republicans, hey, don't disrupt, the president during the State of the Union. At least one person didn't completely get that message, but actually it made it, you're right, the coverage of it, and I didn't put that together because I had watched it, and then the coverage started coming out, but the coverage made it seem like that it was a number of interruptions by the Republicans.
Yeah, it was.
And that wasn't the case.
Well, it was only that one, and what happened from that, Marjorie Taylor Greene got lost in it when all of a sudden the illegal thing for the Democrats became, that became everything, and then him going on, and apologizing. Well, I don't know if he actually apologized. He said he should have just used the word undocumented. And as we've said, how dare Democrats say that people that come in from outside of this country are undocumented as if they don't exist.
Right.
At least illegal. Well, there's legal, illegal. At least you're acknowledging they exist. Democrats, by using undocumented, are making the allegation that these people don't even exist.
Right.
I'm going to keep doing that.
But just use their logic.
Yeah, and make that fake anger.
Right.
It's
wrong.
But, Biden, first when he wasn't prepared when he was under the plane. When he was being asked under the plane, he couldn't even give an answer to that. I mean, and that was part of the horrible day that he also had there. When he was filing MSNBC, he said, well, I should have said undocumented. But the other point is where he tried to make the comparison. I wish Republicans would make a bigger deal out of that, because I think it's, they're winning the argument on illegal immigration big time. But when Biden said that, hey, look how many Americans are killed by legals.
Right.
Well, you should have just pounded on that one, because he's trying to justify the murder by saying, well, since Americans murder Americans, well, it's just natural that an illegal is going to murder an American.
Right.
So you should be able to accept it,
and
it should be no big deal.
Right. Yeah, why is anybody complaining about 9/11? We have domestic terrorists, too.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, 9/11 shouldn't matter. We have, We have
same logic.
We have Charlottesville. I'd throw that out there.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's the entire. This is the entire landscape that's in front of you right now. Nothing is in the abstract right now. It is not only reality; it's immediate reality on every one of these major items. It's happening and repeating every single day.
Reading from the Wall Street Journal, the State of the Union speeches are eminently forgettable, but President Biden's address on Thursday was memorable, but all the wrong reasons. His address was one long, divisive pep rally for Democrats, goading Republicans through the speech and targeting multiple and various villains for partisan attacks. It was really extraordinary. But he made the dreadful political mistake of comparing Russia's threat to democracy with the threat to democracy at home. There is no comparison between Vladimir Putin's invasion and partisan, even raucous debates in the U.S., and many supporters of Ukraine will resent the linkage. We regret to say it, but this speech may have made it harder for GOP members of Congress to resist Donald Trump and vote to send weapons to Ukraine. Was the short-term partisan adrenaline worth that risk? Given that foreign threats to democracy, Biden could have made a bipartisan pitch to increase defense spending. Even Jimmy Carter made that pivot in the final year of his presidency when the Soviets were on the march. But Mr. Biden wants to spend and spend and spend on everything else instead. This could turn out to be a historic miscalculation as the threats from Iran, Russia, and China mount. The speech was downhill from there.
Yeah, true.
With the list of partisan campaign themes that hewed hard to the left while framing opposition as ill-intended and out to hurt the country. He demeaned the Supreme Court on abortion, suggesting that the decision overturning Roe v. Wade was partisan and political. The truth is that the Dobbs decision, as correct as it was under the Constitution, has been a political boon to Democrats, but he still trashed the court, and the justices in attendance, a few rows in front of him, had to sit and take it. His political enemies list was long and far more than Mr. Trump. There were the 1,000 billionaires who don't pay enough in taxes, the drug companies that care nothing about patients, the credit card companies that want to gouge consumers, the big landlords who want to break antitrust laws by price fixing and drive up rents and more. He even hauled out the carcass of the National Rifle Association for a drubbing. He sneered at Republicans who voted against his spending bills, but whose states now are receiving some of the largest federal outlays. If you don't want any of the money in your district, just let me know. On the border security bill and fentanyl, it was a schoolyard taunt. You don't want to do that, huh? He said Republicans want to cut Social Security in order to cut taxes for the rich, but Republicans have expressly refused to get anywhere close to reforming entitlements in this Congress, despite the urgent need to fix programs that will soon be bankrupt. But there, and then they go on and on and on that how it got worse from that point. Yeah, it was like I said, Democrats liked it because of the screaming.
Yeah, right.
That's why they liked
right.
it because of the rage
right.
and the anger. That's what drives them. That's what is successful to them. They don't see that. They're all raging and they're screaming, and it's democracy is ended. And where's Biden? He needs to scream the same way. Well, they got their screaming. They didn't get anything of a new opinion on an issue that will actually work,
right.
but they got the rage and they got the blaming of corporations.
Sure.
Of corporations, of interest groups they don't like.
The rich.
Yeah. It's it was at that point it became the typical, as we say, victim oppressor mentality that the Democrats have been promoting here for the last few decades.
Right.
And so, pit one American against another American and then say, but we're about uniting everybody.
Joe the Uniter. Mm-hmm.
You
That's what
suck.
he sounded like.
Eric, you suck. Now, why don't you agree with me?
Exactly.
Agree with me. You stink. You stink to high heavens.
No, I do agree with you. I suck. I'm with you on it. Did you see the videos, by the way, the video comparisons to all of his State of the Union speeches from the beginning? It is wild. It is probably too long to play on the air, but it shows you the things he's repeated almost verbatim, in some cases verbatim, and it's like, wow, they just used parts of the same speech over and over.
866-90 Red Eye.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90 Red Eye.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Did you hear that Reuters fact-checked the Babylon Bee again?
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
This time on the when Babylon Bee had Democrats set up ballot boxes along the border.
Yeah.
And they showed all these ballot boxes along a fence.
Right.
We actually brought that up, I think. We read that headline and laughed at it. They fact-checked it.
Yeah, of course. Well, because the Babylon Bee is making too many very valid points in their comedy and their satire. And the left can't handle it. They know.
What's it like?
They know this.
We should
fact check them.
What's it like to be in a meeting?
Right.
We need to fact check the Babylon Bee.
Can you imagine?
What's next? Mad Magazine?
Yeah, can you imagine checking every comedian in history? Well, he said, take my wife, please. But we looked into the facts and... Are you kidding me?
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning.
Hello.
Wow, we're well into March already.
Crazy, huh?
Warmer weather is coming.
I was telling you in the pre-show meeting, so we're 8 months out from the election.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, everything is moving so fast. It is moving so fast. And now, really, aside from the conventions, well, even the conventions are about the general election. It's the focus is about the general election, and the events are going to be few and far between. You and I still believe there likely won't be any debates. So now you have basically, in terms of events, the convention, some campaign stops, but it's all about the general election, and 8 months goes by in a heartbeat, and then boom, the day after, we're going to be waiting for election results. I'm sorry, the month after, the year after, we'll be awaiting the election results, and it just seems like everything is flying by. I mean, I was thinking about, I was doing more yard work over the weekend and thinking, we didn't get a winner. I mean, we had a cold spell, but we really didn't get a winner. It just seems like October was yesterday, and then boom, here we are. Seems like we did that daylight saving ended just a few minutes ago, and then boom, we're back at it.
Yeah, I know. I will say this: that I was, when that happened, when I had only my one clock do I have to move forward. The rest,
we don't have any clocks we have to change anymore.
Do it automatic. I have a decorative clock. It looks like an old clock.
Yeah,
just runs by a battery, but it fits perfectly on my fireplace mantle right in between. And but that's
microwave, stove, and coffee machine. That was it.
Microwave, stove, and coffee machine.
That's all
I
I
have
got.
no idea what the time is on it. I don't even look at that.
Yeah.
So it's just that because it's up a little higher, I see that in my phone. Other than that, it's like, do people have clocks on their walls anymore?
I don't have any clocks at all.
I used to have
on a wall.
I do have an electric. I do have an electric clock, but it's an electric clock like the studio clocks that you have. I have one of those.
It's an atomic clock.
Yeah, I don't use.
Automatic.
I don't. Yeah, but it's been unplugged for a while.
And I'm a stickler for the microwave and the oven and the coffee machine. The coffee machine is programmable, so I don't drink much, if any, coffee anymore at the house, but others do. But I need them to be correct, and it's a thing. Even if I go into like an Airbnb on vacation, if it's wrong, I have to reset it.
Yeah,
it's just a thing.
Yeah, I just don't. It was a pain in the butt. I had to change the battery because it runs on this little battery. And the thing is, by the time we have to change the clocks again, it runs fast.
Yeah. Right.
So for me, it's great because it was like 15 minutes fast.
Right.
So when it was like 10:30 to go into, when I leave to go to work, it shows 10:45, and so I'm really trying to hurry to get out of the house.
Right.
I like my clock 15 minutes fast. But I don't. I used to have another alarm clock, and now the phones are so trustworthy. I use my phone's my only alarm clock.
My, all the new cars, same thing. The new cars have an atomic clock built in, so you don't have to go in and change anything anymore. So, it's like, okay. Now I do remember, this goes back several years, where at least our phones, you had to turn them off and turn them back on after the clock change.
Yep. No longer.
That's not the case anymore.
Nope.
I mean, all my thermostats, I have, two thermostats at home. It's all atomic. It's all automatic. It doesn't require anything.
I went to sleep probably Saturday night at 8 o'clock, which was 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
And
yeah, no, I was out early.
Boom, 5 o'clock, I'm up. And I went, okay, 5 o'clock. Well, because I always get up earlier on Sunday mornings.
Right.
And I was up a couple of hours actually did my workout, did everything. I went, wait a minute, I didn't get up at 5 o'clock. I got up at 4 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. And so I feel a little jet lagged right now just because I went to sleep earlier, too, and then woke up earlier. I think I went to sleep at like 4 and woke up at 7:30 and didn't get back to sleep. But it was great sleep. But I think that's because of the time difference. So I'm a little bit jet lagged. Not tired at all, but just jet lag. Feels like I went through I don't know, a couple of time warps.
Yeah.
But as to the whole thing, I really don't care either way. I know it's a huge topic for people to get rid of it. It's never really bothered me that much either way.
It's just stupid that we're doing it anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I like the
Do daylight saving and be done with it.
I actually sleep better during the summer when it's absolutely bright when I go to sleep because I sleep twice a day. And, for example, it's not going to get light to what? Probably 7:30 this morning.
Right.
Central time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it'll be totally dark when I go to sleep. I like that in this shift. But now when I go to sleep in the afternoon, I don't need dark shades. In fact, for some reason in the middle of the summer, when it's so bright in that room, I fall asleep and it's no problem at all.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I have blackout blinds all the way across.
Yeah, and I had trouble for the last couple of months sleeping. I'm sleeping better now, but I don't know why. The second shift I've had trouble sleeping in. Not the first though, and on the weekends, no. So it's not a sleep problem; it's a shift kind of thing problem.
Yeah, right.
But it seems like I got it worked out.
Yeah.
All right. In other news out there, this was interesting, and I think it's worth tearing apart again because it shows you, number one, there's two things. That the experts are full of it and the legal experts are full of it.
Yeah.
Completely full of it, especially on the left. And it's the decision by the Supreme Court, the 9-0 decision. And Beckett Adams wrote it in National Review saying the media's legal experts botched the Trump ballot access case and goes through, if, for example, the casual observer had watched CNN in December of last year, he probably saw former federal judge Michael Luttig assert that Colorado's case against a former president was a straightforward application of the 14th Amendment in plain terms. In an interview published the same month by Politico, he was adamant, saying, I'm always exceedingly careful with my word choice in public on profound matters of such great importance. What I've said is that I am confident that the Supreme Court would affirm the decision based upon the objective law, which in this instance is Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which is to say I know that the Colorado Supreme Court decision is unassailable in every single aspect under the Constitution of the United States. He was completely wrong.
Yeah.
And we called him wrong. But so from now on, no one can ever, because we're going to go through more legal experts, you can't ever call the show and say, how do you guys know you're not legal experts? We're better than he is.
Yep.
We saw something that was so crystal clear in the 14th Amendment, it can't be read any other way. And this former federal judge on MSNBC, well, we'll ask the question what he was actually doing, though. It says frequent NBC News guest and unofficial White House legal advisor Lawrence Tribe was in full agreement that the Colorado decision was also unassailable. If the casual consumer had watched PBS in December, he probably heard former acting U.S. Solicitor General Neil Cattell claim the Colorado did get it right. This is, after all, what the 14th Amendment to our Constitution added in 1868 says. It says people like me kind of would prefer to beat Trump at the ballot box, but our founders did not have this absolute constitutional requirement that you can't be an insurrectionist just like you have to be 35 years old and a natural-born citizen. MSNBC and CNN legal analyst Tristan Snell had also argued that any state or local official can reject Trump as constitutionally disqualified from office under the 14th Amendment. It does not require Congress. It does not require a lawsuit. Trump has already been disqualified. Automatically, Colorado was just recognizing the obvious. Then came the Supreme Court ruling. The expert legal analysis didn't even come close to matching the result, not even by a little bit. The Supreme Court, in an opinion that united Justice Clarence Thomas and Sotomayor, held that Colorado had badly overstepped its legal authority. What a disaster for expertise and news analysis, both of which failed to keep news audiences reasonably well informed. The experts were so wrong, in fact, that one wonders whether there'll be an intentional effort to mislead, whether there was an intentional effort to mislead or deceive, or could it be that rather than deceiving audiences, these pundits were engaged in self-deception, speculating wildly about the world they want to live in, but not describing the one in which they do. Or perhaps their intent was merely to tell the viewers what they suspected the viewers wanted to hear. Perhaps this was all a business decision. Who cares about the merits of Colorado's case against Trump? Our viewers would like the case to be legally solid, and damn it, that's what we'll tell them. So what was it? You don't think the federal judge Ludick knew that he was full of crap? Do you think he actually read Section 3 of the 14th Amendment and actually thought Colorado was on strong ground? We had said from the very beginning it should be 9-0.
Yeah.
And we said it may be 8-1 because who knows where Jackson will be on this. It was 9-0.
Well, when there is no binding, recourse where you say something, if you're going to be a, consultant or, you're going to turn into a pundit, and you just put something out there readers, viewers want to hear, you're going to get shredded by the right, and that's going to be the case anyway. You just throw it out there and just say it as fact. The left has been doing this for a long time, and now they bring in so-called legal experts. Remember the dozens of former Intel officials and the whole Hunter laptop thing? Oh, this looks like Russian propaganda. This looks like the Russians doing this. I mean, they went out of their way. And so when you're on TV and well, I'm not going to, nobody's going to call me on it right here in the moment. I maybe I get shredded on social media later. I don't care. You just say it as a fact because that's what the audience wants to hear, and it's not a fact.
So you're not paying for legal experts then.
Exactly.
You're paying for people that have a law degree who will simply lie because it's what the audience wants.
Of course.
So the audience,
under the guise of them being a legal expert, and using that legal expertise in order to make that point, which they're not doing.
Does anybody in the MSNBC audience or the CNN audience know that they're being lied to, and do they care about being lied to?
That's a good question.
Do they just care that somebody is lying with their narrative? Because this was an easy one, Eric. This was you and I talked about it, and everybody said no.
Very clear.
Yeah, and you saw conservative legal pundits said this should be 9-0.
Mm-hmm.
And we said, well, we'll go 8-1 because of we just didn't know where Jackson would stand on it since she can't define what a woman is. Mm-hmm. We said if you can't define what a woman is and you're a Supreme Court justice, then we have no idea how you'll look at a case like this.
Well, no, I mean, they pay these people to be fake credibility.
Yeah.
You're buying, well, he's a legal expert. Don't you debate him.
Well,
he's a legal expert.
We used to get that a lot. We don't anymore. But we used to get, you guys have a law degree? No. Well, then how dare you? These people have law degrees. Uh-huh. Well, these people have law degrees too, and one was a federal judge,
right,
and completely wrong on something that was as obvious as gravity.
Yep. Radical is as radical does.
866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at J.J. Keller, and I'm here to share a tip on roadside inspections. Drivers must always be prepared for a roadside inspection. This means drivers should always have their personal, vehicle, and company credentials organized and ready, and having any shipment paperwork such as bills of lading or hazardous material shipment emergency response information organized and ready for the inspection official. Just an FYI, the top 2 violations written against drivers every year, as well as during Operation Road Check, are log, general form and manner, and log not current. Both are completely avoidable if the driver keeps the log accurate, compliant, and current at all times. Having the vehicle ready for inspection involves the driver conducting daily inspections and making sure any problems that are discovered are immediately corrected. Vehicle readiness also requires the company to make sure that the vehicle is current on all scheduled maintenance and that the maintenance schedule is adequate. This will make sure the driver is being given a sound vehicle to start with. This tip was brought to you by J.J. Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. And I'm so glad, Eric, that our article was written in National Review about the number of legal experts on MSNBC and CNN that were so completely wrong about the whether Trump was eligible for the ballot, the whole Colorado case, when it was so crystal clear. I mean, when you think about how that was written, it is one of the clearest. There are a lot of clear points in the Constitution, but that's absolutely clear. Congress gets to do that.
Yep.
And the fact that they got it so wrong, because it was 9-0. It was across the ideological spectrum. Colorado did not have the right to do what they did.
Right.
Whether it was an insurrection or not, legally is the case. It wasn't, but even if it was, Colorado doesn't get to act on it. Congress does.
Right.
And so they all got it wrong. And they were saying it was slam dunk. And so it's very important to understand when they say legal expert on MSNBC, what they mean is political activist. And what it means is in essence, they're lying to you by calling the person a legal expert, expecting a legal answer or a legal explanation so you can understand better the Constitution.
Right.
And that's not what they're giving you. They're giving you political activism.
Dershowitz is one of the prime examples. A guy who doesn't vote for Trump, doesn't want to vote for Trump.
Or Turley.
And then they will line it out and tell you, here it is. Well, actually, the liberal justices on the Supreme Court.
They laid it out. Yeah.
You know, they laid it out legally. And look, the so-called experts, I think some of them were hoping before they, talked about this. Some of them, or before the decision came down, when they talked about it, were probably hoping it wouldn't be a 9-0. And that they could make their case and say, well, I agree with the dissenting opinion, not the majority opinion. And that didn't happen. And it didn't happen for a reason.
Yeah, but they'll lie about something. They'll get paid. They get paid to lie about something.
Right. Yes.
Because they lie. They knew. They're not idiots. Luddick is a former federal judge. He's not an idiot.
No.
He knows without question what the 14th Amendment says.
Right.
Yet he said something else.
Toe the line. Toe the line.
I will misrepresent myself as a legal expert and lie to you about the Constitution.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Download our Red Eye Radio app today. Listen when and where you choose if you can't listen live overnight. All right, here we go. The biggest story of the day on Friday. No Labels says it's about to jump into the 2024 presidential race. I just love the way that this is written by Reason.com. Libertarian magazine, by the way.
Yeah.
A day prior to the secret delegate meeting. That's not a convention. The centrist nonprofit that isn't a political party indicated Thursday that the members, whom it won't name, are almost certainly going to agree with the backers. It refuses to disclose that a non-existent unity ticket will be chosen via an undetermined process should nonetheless be greenlit to enter a presidential contest that No Label swears it can plausibly win and definitely not tip to Donald Trump. Woo! Thing about it is, it's accurate.
It's actually about as accurate as you can get.
I'm going to say that one more time. That was fun doing that.
Yeah, all right.
The No Label says it's about to jump into the 2024 presidential race a day prior to a secret delegate meeting that's not a convention. The centrist nonprofit that is not a political party indicated Thursday that the members, whom it won't name, are almost certainly going to agree with the backers it refuses to disclose that a non-existent unity ticket to be chosen via an undetermined process should nonetheless be greenlit to enter a presidential contest that No Label swears it can plausibly win and definitely not tip to Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Wow. We expect our delegates to encourage the process to continue. No labels, no candidates, no issues, no transparency.
No winning.
Well, the Joe Lieberman-chaired organization remains convinced, all contrary evidence notwithstanding, that the disgruntled voters must crave as an alternative to Beltway politics, as usual, is a centrist coalition of establishment office holders who can out-hawk both major parties on foreign policy.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I don't know that yet.
Yeah, exactly.
I understand the point they're trying to make.
Right.
Wow.
Going nowhere fast. We're No Labels.
The right candidate is out there, group founder Nancy Jacobson insisted to the Dallas Morning News on February 29th. That's the last piece we need.
No. Yeah. Hey, we've got everything but a candidate.
On Thursday afternoon, I didn't see this. The Wall Street Journal reported that one candidate the group is interested in, according to a person familiar with its discussions, Senator Sinema.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was a given. We brought up her name as a possibility. We didn't hear that they were actually talking about it, but after dropping out of her Senate race, yeah, okay.
Now, they say here the former Democrat who said this week that she would not run for re-election, less than 3 hours later, Sinema ruled it out. Do they mean she ruled out the No Labels party? Why wouldn't a brand-name politician jump at a chance to mount a long-shot entry into the polarized, razor-thin White House race? Okay, I guess that's what she means. She. Boy, I didn't even know that they had threw her name out and that she rejected it. Why wouldn't a brand-name politician jump at the chance to mount a long-shot entry into a polarized, razor-thin White House race? Besides the persuasive cooing of good cops like Bill Clinton and out-and-out threats from bad cops like the Lincoln Project.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
There is the cruelty of electoral math. Manchin, one of the best known names associated with the organization, appeared in presidential polls in December and January. The showing both times, 3%. Third Way, a center-left think tank playing point on anti-no labels agitation, released a national poll Thursday testing a name recognition best-case scenario for the unity ticket, Nikki Haley and Dean Phillips. The duo came in fourth place in a four-way race at 9% behind Robert Kennedy at 13%. Now imagine that instead of a high-profile former governor and United Nations ambassador who had been campaigning for the past year, you had at the top of the ticket one of the last whispered names that has not said no, like former Tennessee Governor Bill Haslam. Brutal.
Yeah.
For 9 years running the establishment centrist hawkish lane for presidential politics in the GOP has been narrow and littered with bones, from Haley's to Bill Weld's, all the way back to Jeb Bush's attempts to assemble a new common sense coalition in the patriotic center. Evan McMullin, Howard Schultz, Michael Bloomberg.
What? Okay.
Have largely exploded on the launch pad in a configuration of dollar bills. Well, the problem is, look, how long has the No Labels Party been around? I mean, they've been around for a while, a few years, but how long have they been promoting they're going to be a part of this election? Over a year?
Yeah, right.
Well over a year.
Yeah.
To have no idea of a presidential candidate now? You're still trying to figure out where you stand on the issues? What a joke.
Well, it's just like Occupy Wall Street. We won't take a position, but you kind of have to.
Well, we dealt with that with No Labels from the beginning when they said, look, if we take an issue, then people will be against us.
Right.
What?
No, that's exactly it. And we said that's the whole, the game. It's the whole point. You're going to say things or you're going to espouse things that people disagree with. And as a party, you've got to come up with something, well, a number of things that you stand for and promote. None of the above isn't going to get you there. It just isn't. You may have people who want to throw a protest vote your way. That's not going to get people on board. You can't win. You just can't. So, cinema and, I don't know. I mean, she's not going to do it.
I mean,
Manchin's not going to do it.
It's just so childish.
Have we heard any other talk about them going after Liz Cheney? Have we heard anything?
No, nothing on that. No. Now, they voted to move forward on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
But an official
via Zoom.
Now, this is from Politico. But an official with the group acknowledged during the gathering, a recording of which was shared with Politico, that they currently do not have a candidate and may not be able to find one.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Nobody wants in. No, thanks.
Well, I'd be interested in running for president of the United States. What does your party stand for? Well, we're not sure yet.
Yeah, wait, we'll get back to you. Are you in? Well, can I wait until you decide? They're acting like children.
I didn't know that the director they were talking to was Mike Rawlings, the former Democratic mayor of Dallas.
Oh.
We don't have a candidate, Rawlings said, and it's possible in the end we won't find a suitable candidate. Well, where do you start?
I don't know where you go with it.
Regional.
How's Lieberman not stepping up?
I don't know. You and I asked that question the other day.
He doesn't want the gig. I mean, apparently, clearly.
Regional leaders on the call expressed broad support for proceeding with the third-party presidential bid. We need to move forward with this unity ticket for the good of the country. We can't announce this ticket soon enough. Another pointed out that former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley's exit from the presidential race this week meant that her voters need to go somewhere. During the course of the call, delegates compared what No Labels was doing to Abraham Lincoln delivering the Gettysburg Address and the Founding Fathers during the American Revolution. Eric, would you like to comment on that?
Yeah.
Before I do, or should we just let that one go?
I don't even have the energy. Sorry. I can't even. No, sorry. Not going to spend it on that.
Wow. Jefferson. Madison.
Yeah.
Hancock.
Yeah.
No labels.
They don't even know what they're founding.
That's right. The founding fathers knew what they were founding.
They knew what they were doing.
That's why they were called founding.
Tell me what you're doing.
Right. No labels. Before you compare yourself to Abraham Lincoln delivering the Gettysburg Address or the founding fathers, could you do me a favor and?
Well, I mean, yeah, exactly. Well,
tell me what you stand for.
Or what the? Fourscore and whenever. This
is from Politico. While No Labels has been upfront with its interest in running a unity presidential bid, it has been opaque at times in how it has gone about constructing it. The organization does not reveal donor names and has kept relatively quiet on the candidates it is vetting. It's also tried to keep Friday's meeting private. No Labels Vice President Sam Brooks emailed delegates on Thursday to tell them the meeting was strictly off the record for delegates only. They're the if there has ever been a no transparency party, they're it.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
I know what you're saying. What do you mean, Gary? The Democrats are transparent? Yes. Whatever they say in public, they mean the opposite.
Right. Yeah, we can see right through them. They're about as transparent as it gets.
Oh,
yeah.
Gosh.
Comparing themselves to the founding fathers.
The No Labels. We need a party that isn't going to explain anybody to the people, anything to the people.
Right.
We're going to keep our meetings secret. We're going to keep our donors secret. We're going to keep our staff secret. We're going to keep our board of directors secret. We're going to keep our meetings secret. All because we know that you, the American public, expects transparency, and that's what we're not going to give you.
We're keeping our candidates secret. Yeah. How do you get a candidate? Hey, we want you to run. Really? Okay. All right. So here's what I believe. Oh, no, you can't say any of that. Well, I need to be able to debate and talk to the media. No, you can't do that.
I love this one. We are in it to win it, said one delegate, but we also don't want to look like liars when we're telling people that we're not going to be a spoiler.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
We wish to be everything to everybody, and we're finding out we might not be able to do that.
We are going to be spoilers. Our intention is to be spoilers. We just don't want you thinking that.
Wow.
Wow.
Everything, no transparency, and we wish to con you.
That's right.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I guess Rawlings, who's one of the leaders of the No Labels Party, former Democrat mayor, was on CNN.
Yeah,
saying somehow this is No Labels' fault if it spoils against Biden.
Yeah.
The Democrats, my Democrats, this is the party my whole life. Okay, they've done this to themselves.
Yeah.
With this windmill chasing with bad talking points and with the candidate they chose. This is what the Democrats have done. No Labels is speaking for common sense. But we don't know that because you won't tell us where you stand on the issues.
Exactly.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.